Today is Wednesday, October 7th, and you're watching OC News. On today's show, we have emerging details on Attorney General Jeff Sessions being kicked out of Trump's White House, and a recap of last night's midterm election results. Also, stay tuned for which organization is suing the Boy Scouts of America, and we take a look at the annual Pumpkin Launch STEM event at Cal State Fullerton. OC News starts right now.
Welcome to OC News and thank you for joining us. I'm Ashley Soriano.
And I'm Michael Patterson. OC News is brought to you by the broadcast journalism students at Cal State Fullerton. Our top story, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is out as Attorney General after President Trump effectively fired him.
CNN's Laura Jarrett explains all the unfolding details.
At President Trump's request, Jeff Sessions is out as Attorney General. Submitting his resignation letter to the president, quote, "I have been honored to serve as Attorney General and have worked to implement the law enforcement agenda based on the rule of law," wrote Sessions. Trump has made no secret of his disdain for his Attorney General.
I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for numerous reasons, but we have an Attorney General. I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for many reasons, and you understand that. Come here, Jeff.
The long-expected departure of one of President Trump's earliest supporters, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, coming after months of blistering attacks.
I said on the Department of Justice I would stay uninvolved. Now, I may get involved at some point if it gets worse.
At one low point, Trump even going so far as to declare, quote, "I don't have an Attorney General."
It's good to be with you.
All because Sessions stepped aside from overseeing the Russia investigation, something that overshadowed nearly all of his 20 months at the Justice Department.
He took the job, and then he said, "I'm going to recuse myself." I said, what kind of a man is this?
And despite all the tweets and withering critiques from his boss,
I put an Attorney General that never took control of the Justice Department, Jeff Sessions, never took control of the Justice Department, and it's a sort of an incredible thing.
Sessions rarely pushed back.
The president speaks his mind. He says what's on his mind at the time, and he's been frustrated about my recusal and other matters, but we have been so pleased and honored to be given the responsibility to execute his agenda at the Department of Justice. Part of that is just this kind of case, and so I am pleased and honored to have that responsibility, and it will do so as long as it's appropriate for me to do so.
Picking his moments carefully and vowing in August that the Justice Department will not be improperly influenced by political considerations. Publicly, he advanced the president's most controversial immigration policies. Privately, a source close to Sessions tells CNN he too has been frustrated that Mueller's investigation is not yet completed. And the Attorney General hopes he will be remembered for never undermining the integrity of the department. With Sessions now gone, his chief of staff, Matt Whitaker, will take over the department in the interim. Whitaker, a former U.S. attorney from Iowa and former CNN contributor, has served as Sessions' right-hand man since September 2017. But with Sessions now gone, the question is, who will replace him? Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has reportedly been asked about the job and has repeatedly said he's not interested. Others said to be in the running include former federal prosecutor and current Republican Congressman John Radcliffe, Boeing General Counsel Michael Luttig, and others potentially in the mix are federal appeals court judge Edith Jones, who sits on the Fifth Circuit, and Janice Rogers Brown, who used to sit on the D.C. Circuit, though a source close to Brown tells CNN she is likely not interested. Laura Jarrett, CNN, Washington.
Voters across the county have reason to celebrate after the results of the midterm elections. Democratic and Republican voters have their own victories to hold high as more people registered to vote than ever before. While some races are still too close to call, we'll break down the results of local and national elections, as well as the standout appointees. Let's start with our reporter Tamika Adams to recap these local elections. Tamika?
Thanks, Ashley. Understandably, voter fatigue is real. As energy winds down from the buzz of election night, here at OC News, we are breaking down results from the exit polls. But be advised, as poll numbers are still being updated on a national level. Most local races have been called, so let's meet our new local officials. For the 39th District, former Republican Assemblywoman Young Kim takes a seat from longtime Republican Ed Royce, who retired earlier this year. Kim, with 29% of the vote, leads her opponents Gil Cisneros and Phil Libator. Republican Mimi Walters wins the 45th District in one of the hottest races in Southern California. The two-term Republican beat out her Democratic challenger, Katie Porter. Porter, a liberal consumer protection lawyer, was the social media darling but could not muster enough votes to flip the seat. Democratic Alan Lowenthal has won the 47th District with the 62% of the vote, showing more signs that Orange County is changing from the red county to potentially a purple. Returns in the 47th Congressional District have eased fears of Democrats. Incumbent Republican Dana Rohrabacher has lost his seat that he's held since the 1980s. Currently, returns are in, showing Democrat Harley Ruda as the winner. For the 49th District, Republicans were worried about splitting their vote amongst 3 or 4 well-funded candidates. Instead, they've done the opposite. Board of Equalization member Diane Harkey leads all candidates with 27% of the vote, blowing past all competition. As provisional ballots are still pouring in and major changes are soon to be on the rise, OC News will keep you updated on those results. And if you want to have the most current results, visit ocvote.com. Keeping you informed on the midterms and beyond, I'm Tamika Adams at the Politics Desk.
It looks like Orange County will be looking at a new sheriff. According to this morning's update of votes counted, Republican Under Sheriff Donald Barnes had a 14.4% lead over Democrat and DA investigator Duke Nguyen. Barnes has worked for Orange County Sheriff's Department for 29 years and touted himself as an experienced manager who knows the department well. It seems that Orange County will also be looking at a new district attorney. Voters are in favor of Todd Spitzer over a longtime district attorney Tony Rackauckas. With all precincts reporting this morning, Spitzer led Rackauckas by nearly 6 percentage points, or more than 31,000 votes. The winner will lead an office that handles more than 60,000 cases a year and wields an annual budget of about $145 million. Almost all of the Election Day votes on electronic voting machines have been counted, though there remain an unknown number of mail-in and provisional ballots left to count.
16 propositions were on the California ballot, ranging from cities enacting rent control to repealing gas tax increases. We go now to our reporter Brianna Halstead for the results of the most talked about propositions.
Thank you. Taking a look at some of the major propositions voted on last night, Proposition 6, known as the gas tax repeal prop, received a 55% no voting from voters. This means legislative would continue not needing voter approval for the new or increased state fuel and vehicle taxes in the future. In another highly publicized prop, Proposition 8 received an overwhelming 62% of no votes, meaning dialysis clinics will not have their revenues limited and will not be required to pay rebates. Lastly, in yet another turn of events, the rent control proposition known as Prop 10 also received an overwhelming 62% of no voting. If passed, the proposition would have made it so state law could not limit the kinds of rent control laws cities and counties could have. For a full list of past and defeated propositions, you can find them on ballotpedia.org. Back to you, anchors.
Thank you, Brianna. Coming up, Cal State Fullerton stays winning as we're crowned with the largest amount of student voters in a CSU.
And later, the Boy Scouts have ended up in hot water, and a unique house in California could boldly take prospective buyers where no one has gone before. We'll see you after the break.
see on page 4 that the projections need to be earthquake next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Welcome back to OC News. For the first time in 7 years, Democrats have taken control of the Senate after last night's election, leading to a split in power since President Trump has been in office. CNN reporter Natasha Chen has more on the changes.
While President Trump is declaring victory this morning,
the Republican Party defied history.
The reality is a bit more complicated.
We saw the candidates that I supported achieve tremendous success last night.
His party managed to pick up a few seats in the Senate, but the Democrats took control of the House.
There were plenty of other things we did together, and there's no reason that would stop simply because the House now becomes Democratic.
The American people want to put an end to unchecked GOP control of Washington, restoring again the checks and balances.
2018 was also a year of historic firsts. Voters in Kansas and New Mexico are sending the first Native American women to Congress.
I never imagined a world where I would be represented by someone who looks like me.
But one first is still uncertain Wednesday morning. As votes continue to be collected and counted, the race for governor in Georgia is still too close to call. Democrat Stacey Abrams, who could be the nation's first black female governor, is trailing Republican Brian Kemp. It's a battle that has been rife with controversy as well as high-profile support from presidents and celebrities.
Across our state, folks are opening up the dreams of voters in absentee ballots, and we believe our chance for a stronger Georgia is just within reach.
This midterm election has resulted in historical appointments, including a multitude of religions, ages, and sexualities now in office. Let's go to our reporter Cecilia Rodriguez for all the details.
Let's talk about how historical the elections were. Jared Polis won the Colorado governor's race, becoming the first openly gay person to be elected governor in America. Polis is a Democrat who has served in the White House since 2009 and did not try to hide his sexual orientation on the campaign trail. In fact, he sometimes used it to emphasize the contrast between himself and President Trump's administration. Polis ran on a fairly progressive platform. He vowed to fight for all Medicare. He also backed strong gun laws, investments in renewable energy, and repealed the death penalty. It is said Polis will succeed former governor, and because of his historic win, the LGBT community will secure rare representation at a statewide level. Let's talk about how historic a record of women will serve in Congress this year. Starting with the youngest ever elected, 29-year-old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She defeated New York Democrat Republican Joe Crowley in the primary election earlier this year. The victory was considered a stunner and helped make her a national political figure. She previously worked as an organizer on Vermont Independence Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. She is the daughter of Puerto Rican parents and a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. She is a Latina who has become a key left-wing voice. More on these historic elections, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are the first Muslim women in Congress, and they are bringing their backgrounds with them. When Ilhan Omar started her acceptance speech Tuesday night, she led with Asa al-Kilam, which means peace be upon you. She is a 36-year-old Solomon refugee who immigrated to the United States as a teenager. She faced Islamophobic attacks during her campaign from outside conservative media outlets, but those attacks didn't sway the general election because she is the new Minnesota state rep. Michigan's Rashida Tlaib is a Muslim former state representative and will replace disgraced Rep. John Colliers, who resigned after sexual misconduct allegations in another safe Democratic district. Congress currently has only 2 lawmakers. This was Cecilia Rodriguez.
Thank you, Cecilia. Tyans have a reason to smile ear to ear as we registered more than 26,000 voters in the first 9 weeks of classes. The statewide ballot bowl competition recognized this achievement by crowning Cal State Fullerton as the CSU with the largest number of students registered to vote. Cal State Fullerton President Fran Burgee said in a campus-wide email, "Truth be told, it was more than I imagined, greater than I dreamed, and affected me as I would not have predicted."
Election Day of 2018 saw record-breaking numbers in voter turnout. An estimated 113 million people went to the polls and cast their ballot. This number made it the first midterm in U.S. history to have exceeded over 100 million votes, with 49% of eligible voters participating in the election. This was the first time these numbers were reached since 1966. Comparing it to the previous 2014 midterm, only 36.4% of eligible voters participated, having one of the lowest voter turnouts in American history. In California, the California Secretary of State recorded a record 19.69 million new voters that registered by the October 22nd deadline. That means that 76% of California's population went out to vote. Here in Orange County, we saw 41.7% of voter turnout, which was slightly lower than previous years. With this rise in voters, Democrats gained 27 seats in the House of Representatives, while Republicans still remain in control of the Senate. Democrats were also able to flip gubernatorial seats in 7 states.
Trouble is brewing between the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts as the girls are suing the Boy Scouts over a possible trademark infringement. Girl Scouts of the USA are officially suing the Boy Scouts of America, as the Girl Scouts are claiming that the boys don't have the right to use the term Scouts or Scouting in their name. The suit comes after the Boy Scouts' decision to drop the word boy from the title in 2019, after 108 years. The Girl Scouts are also claiming that the new name has led to confusion in the public and media, leading many to think that the organizations had recently merged. The Boy Scouts of America have announced that they are reviewing the lawsuit.
All right, everybody, let's take a look at national weather, because this week the weather across the country has been a little tumultuous, so let's just jump right on into it. Starting off first, we're going to take a look down here at Memphis, Tennessee, 51 and partly cloudy today, but that is not a great representation of how the area has been the past couple of days. Unfortunately, there have been tornadoes striking the area, and so much as 8 tornadoes striking down in that area. We've even got footage here that shows just how devastating these tornadoes were. A tornado picking up an entire house, as you can see. That's the underside of the house. It picked up off of its foundation and tipped it completely over. So definitely thinking about the people from Tennessee tonight as they rebuild their community. Looking over next up here into parts of Michigan and in Chicago, 35 and starting to snow in that area. The Michigan area is going to be receiving its first attaining snowfall of the winter season tonight. 35 in that area. We're going to be seeing snow also in areas like Chicago, Illinois, and even down here in Missouri, and even parts of Iowa as well. Now finally, taking a look down at Orange County in our area, fortunately not having to worry about those tornadoes or the snow, at least at this time. 81 and sunny in Los Angeles tonight. But it is important to consider that there is another red flag warning in the area, like I had mentioned last week. Taking a look at that information now, it is an extreme risk for fires in parts of Orange County, Tustin, Santa Ana, those areas. The direction of the wind is going to be moving south, so it is going to be coming from the Los Angeles area and moving down into San Diego County. The wind is going to be moving between 20 and 30 miles an hour on average, an average of 25 miles an hour in general, but in mountains and in valley basins, we're going to be seeing gusts of 50 to even 70 miles per hour. So definitely be safe if you're in those kinds of areas. Humidity around 8%, it's going to be very dry. It's going to be very dry, so make sure if you're going outside, you're putting on that sunscreen. Definitely want to protect our skin. This red flag warning, it's not in effect right now just yet, but it is going to be starting tomorrow at about 10 a.m. and lasting until Friday at 10 p.m. So if you're going to be going outside those next couple of days, make sure to be safe and pay attention to those wind gusts. Taking a look at our current weather today, 69 degrees with a low of 56, 8-mile-an-hour winds. Like I mentioned, the red flag warning is not in effect just yet. It'll start tomorrow morning. Humidity of 63% and a sunset of 4:53 due to the new daylight savings time. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast to see what we've got for the rest of Orange County this week. As you can expect, low 80s, high 70s for the rest of the week, going into 79 and 80 on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, going into the lows of 50. We're moving into winter, everybody, so it's definitely pay attention to the temperatures. Might want to put on a sweater before you go outside. That's all we've got for weather today in Orange County. Back to you at the desk, Ashley.
Thank you, Michael. Coming up, we'll take a look at what the Anaheim Ducks and the LA Lakers are up to, find out why there were jack-o'-lanterns flying through the air, and later, a man breaks into an alligator farm and jumps into the water. Stay tuned.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us, when others are down, to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to OC News. The first freeway face-off of the 2018 NHL season took place last night in Los Angeles as the Kings took down the Ducks 4-1. Also, the new Lakers are still trying to find their chemistry, getting a chance to fix that tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Brock Howard has more on this story and other sports stories in the OC area. Brock?
What's up, Titans? I'm Brock Howard, bringing you this week's sports segment in a new edition of OC News. 'Tis the season, hockey and basketball season, that is. The Kings and Ducks played in the new season's first freeway face-off. Both teams were struggling entering the game. The Kings opened the scoring in the first period off a rebound shot taken by Dustin Brown. The score would go up to 2-0 in favor of Los Angeles after Kyle Clifford got his second of the season. The Kings would take a sizable lead with their third straight goal after Ilya Kovalchuk scored his team-leading fifth goal. The Ducks finally got on the board with a shot from the point that deflected its way past Jack Campbell. This made the score to 3-1. Let's have a look. Boom! Oh yeah. With time winding down, the Kings got additional momentum off a crushing hit delivered by Jake Muslin. Let's have a look. Boom, hello. Gonna have to ice that later. The Kings iced the game off an empty net goal scored by Tyler Toffoli. The next time both teams will play each other will be in late March. The new look Lakers are still working on their chemistry, losing to the Toronto Raptors 121-107. It doesn't snow in Southern California, but the Toronto Raptors dropped some chills in LA. Toronto had big nights from Serge Ibaka, who had 34 points and 10 rebounds, along with Kyle Lowry dropping a cool 21 points and dishing out 15 assists for the W. Hopefully Bron and the Lakers can turn it around in tonight's game at Staples Center against the Minnesota Timberwolves at 7:30. That wraps it up for sports. I'm Brock Howard. Back to the desk for other news.
It's a bird, it's a plane, wait, it's a pumpkin? It's not every day that you see pumpkins flying through the air. That's what you get when the engineer students at Cal State Fullerton team up with the Discovery Science Cube to create their own catapults to launch these orange gourds high across the sky. Our very own Alyssa Freider was at the 11th annual pumpkin launch and has more on this squashingly good time.
Pumpkins, as a rule, stay closer to the vine. But have you ever seen a squash go flying through the air? Well, you're about to. I'm here with Cal State Fullerton and the Discovery Cube for their 11th annual pumpkin launch event. Local engineers and students from all over the community are here to show off their catapults and see who can launch their pumpkin the farthest. Let's go and check out this squash-tastic event. The event is hosted by the Discovery Cube Science Center, and they provided many fun scientific activities for families. The kids were able to build their own mini catapults, make Alka-Seltzer bottle rockets, and even learn how a boat floats. Keith Brush, Director of Education at Discovery Cube, explains the goal of this community and science-centered event.
We wanted to show the fun and excitement of engineering and science, and we wanted an opportunity to get kids onto a college campus so they could see, number one, what it looks like and how much fun it can be. It's really to inspire kids to think about careers in engineering and science.
What do you get when you launch a pumpkin? Squash. Well, that's my best attempt at a catapult. Let's go see how a real catapult works. The pumpkin launch portion of the event is a competition between 12 teams of engineers. The goal is to launch your pumpkin not only the farthest, but it also must hit a target to count for points. Cal State Fullerton had 5 engineering teams competing for the trophy this year. Alexander Sigler, officer and project lead for the Pace Club, explains their team and its catapult.
So we spent pretty much all of October every weekend working on it. We assembled it, painted it, took it out for testing, and it took 4 or 5 weekends of a lot of work.
This event will be held annually for people of all ages to come and watch the flying squashes and join in on all the smashing pumpkin activities. This has been Alyssa Freider reporting for OC News.
Up for sale in California is a super unique house so out of this world that fans may recognize it from a beloved sci-fi TV program. Jeremy Roth has more.
Die-hard Star Trek fans can now boldly go where no one has gone before. In Southern California real estate, that is. A Malibu home featured in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation is on the market. The ultra-modern home provided a setting for the 1989 episode The Survivors. The 4-bedroom, 3.5-bath home sits on 2 acres, features a 10-car garage, a rose garden, and stunning ocean views. All this otherworldly luxury will cost you, though. The home is currently listed at $5.7 million. But if you're looking for a very unique property, it may be worth the trek to Malibu. A Florida man recently took a dangerous dive. He was caught on camera jumping into a pond filled with crocodiles. It happened at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. Authorities say the man broke in and spent hours wandering around. At one point, he jumped into a pit full of crocs and was attacked. He escaped alive and eventually fled the scene. Ironically, and I'm not making this up, it was a Crocs shoe he left behind that tipped off police. He was eventually picked up and is now facing multiple charges. We now leave you with some stunning images from India, where they're celebrating the Hindu festival Diwali. The northern Indian city of Ayodhya broke a Guinness World Record by lighting more than 300,000 clay oil lamps on the eve of the annual Festival of Lights. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Ashley, that was quite a house we just saw in that package right there. Are you much of a Star Trek fan?
No, Michael, I'm more of a Star Wars fan. I've never really got into Star Trek, but it seems really cool, and I should definitely give it a watch.
Well, you definitely need to check it out, that's for sure. Thank you for turning into OC News tonight. My name is Michael Patterson. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias at OC News CSUF.
OC News is sponsored in part by Univision Communications, Southwest Airlines, and Casanova McCann.